All right. So let's, Supervisor Brown has anything to say at the moment. We'll go to the speakers, the public. Okay, let's go to the public.
Please state your name. You have 2 minutes to speak. You're on the line.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
My name is Jarraj Singh, and I'm a current student at Santa Clara University. I'm thankful to the Redistricting Committee for letting me speak today, and I'm blessed with the opportunity to represent the Punjabi Sikh community. As for the assembly lines, we would like to see if Union City could be combined in AD Fremont, since our communities of interest, especially in the Punjabi community, are closely tied. We all attend Fremont Gurdwara together, and we would like to be kept together, which allow us to keep our voices united. We appreciate the lines drawn for the Senate and congressional districts. Thank you for your hard work and making sure the Punjabi community is well represented within this area.
Please state your name. You're on the line.
Hello, this is Tyler Dragoni. I am a resident of unincorporated Ashland. I'd just like to share that, as unincorporated residents, our structural needs are always by design, by California law, an afterthought. So it may be difficult for opponents to conceptualize that removing a representative from unincorporated county leaves the entire Board of Supervisors less, not more, accountable to the unincorporated area's needs. Map A, although imperfect, does more representation-wise to empower the residents of the unincorporated community by simply giving those without an intermediate level of government more representation on your board. It also splits the workload in governing the unincorporated area, making it more manageable. Us, who are without a city government, disenfranchised by California law, our voices and our wants should be recognized among the first, since I am now addressing what is my de facto city council. Further, ask the Board of Supervisors to direct staff to create a map that places the local communities, Castro Valley, Eden area, Fairview, Sunol, and East County into 3 separate supervisorial districts. We should be embracing representation and democracy for our unincorporated communities first. And questions still remain unanswered from the proponents of map B, C, and D. What would be the benefit of residents who already lack an intermediate layer of government, whittling down their representation from 2 to 1 single supervisor? So as an unincorporated resident, more supervisors would give us more representation. Since we don't have an intermediate level of government, please make sure that is a priority. Thank you.
Please state your name. You have 2 minutes to speak. You're on the line.
My name is Deborah Yeager, and I am a 32-year resident of Castro Valley. I submitted a COI that supported new district lines as shown in Map D and have voiced my support of these district lines at recent Board of Supervisor meetings, particularly regarding keeping the urban unincorporated areas adjacent to Castro Valley in one district. I'm deeply disappointed by how the redistricting process was handled by our Alameda County supervisors. Our state mandated a process for seeking public input in the form of COI maps that you were tasked with taking into consideration. You use a significant sum of our tax money to hire consultants to publicize the COI process, collect and analyze COI results, and present district map options that incorporated public input. This process satisfied the state mandate to the letter, but not to the spirit of the law. You did allow us to speak, but you did not listen. Instead of engaging with your constituents, you tolerated us and then forced a decision that did not represent what was asked for in more than 75 submitted COI maps and was overwhelmingly supported during public input at Board of Supervisor meetings until last week. Most of those who spoke last week in support of Map A during public comments were people appointed by our supervisor to local MAC boards who had not themselves participated in the public process of submitting COIs. In summary, the Board of Supervisors had already made their decision to maintain the status quo with small adjustments for population equity before public input even started. The urban unincorporated, Tri-Valley and Tri-City areas remain divided, and Oakland remains in 3 districts, ignoring public input from more than 75 COIs.
Please state your name. You have 2 minutes to speak. You're on the line.
Hi, thank you so much for this opportunity. This is Igor Tregub, joining you from Chochenyo Alani land in Berkeley. And because I believe I'm represented very well by Supervisor Carson, and my boundaries where I live with respect to the boundaries is not going to change much. I am going to reserve the balance of my comments just to speak to the process. And I'm hearing this in other public comments, that it seems to me that the elimination of other maps besides Map A was not in keeping with the spirit of the Fair Maps Act. So I urge you to, and I actually appreciate the discussion I've heard up to now about taking into consideration some of the public comments and input, and I hope to hear more of that. I ask that meeting agendas be published on the county redistricting website well prior to the meetings. I ask that online mapping tools, well, it's too late now, but to the extent possible, that they be accessible, or that additional processes be accessible in languages other than English. I ask that the tools for community to draw districts, when it's being discussed, include city and census designated place lines. And I ask that for the remaining meetings that are held, and I understand there's just one left, but these happen on Tuesday nights. And it would be wonderful if there was at least one that happened on a weekend or a different time, to make sure that there is additional public input available. Thank you so much.
Please state your name. You're on the line.
Hello, my name is Josie Camacho, and I'm a representative of the Asian Pacific American Labor Alliance. We're the only national organization that's composed of API union members and community allies. Our vision and goals are to advance worker, immigrant, and civil rights. And there are at least 600,000 union members of API ethnicity nationally. I'm a lifelong Oakland resident and constituent of District 4. I'm proud to say that Supervisor Nate Miley is my supervisor. In Alameda County and Oakland in particular, we've worked decades very closely with the AAPI communities in Oakland, as well as with the other broader communities of color. So redistricting is certainly a core interest for us in Apala. I was unable to make the redistricting meeting last week. However, due to the Board of Supervisors meeting, a conflict in time, but with the framework that the board is starting off with about equal population, voting rights, respect for local neighborhoods, I must say that after talking with other allies in our community here, that we are leaning towards supporting MAP A recommendations, because being a lifelong resident here and been to all parts of the county, when I formerly had headed up the Alameda Labor Council, our demographics and our history has only deepened and grown as far as the need for social services. It's been exacerbated by the pandemic. So I understand there are 2 more meetings where an ordinance will be proposed, and takes another meeting to finalize it, and hope to continue to engage. Thank you.
Please state your name. You have 2 minutes to speak. You are on the line.
Hello, my name is Sandra Macias. I am an unincorporated resident of Castro Valley, and I've also been a community organizer in the Eden area of Ashland, Cherryland, San Lorenzo, Hayward Acres for about 7 years. And, I really support MAP A. I think having representation of 2 supervisors has been really, really critical for our community. And if you want to talk about communities of interest, we have already designated our communities of interest by our max, right? The difference between Castro Valley, Ashland, Cherryland, Fairview is really significant. And that's why they don't belong in the same supervisor district. Ashland and Cherryland particularly have huge needs. If you looked at the poverty map, you'll also see that those numbers are going to be really aligned with the COVID numbers that were really high in our communities. And having the ability to have 2 supervisors made a huge difference for us because the other supervisors, it would be great if they had more of an interest and more of a play in the unincorporated area. But unfortunately, that's not how it works right now. And I just think that having more power is in the best interest of our community. So I ask you not to take power away from the unincorporated area that already suffers from these horrible inequities. Our kids, they deal with everything from lack of sidewalks, horrible health outcomes, poverty levels that are high. We need that representation. And if it comes down to deciding for a community that is a lot more well off, like Pleasanton and the Tri-Valley, and going in the interest of the communities that really need representation, that are suffering from poverty, that have the highest deaths in COVID, I think that equity, which is what everybody really, is advocating for, will tell you that MAP A is the one you need to choose.
Please state your name. You're on the line.
Hi, Kathy Langley from Fairview talking. And I would just like to state that in Fairview, we are represented by 2 supervisors with 2 budgets. That gives us a better representation than having 1 supervisor. And Oakland surely should have 3 supervisors. Plan A keeps our geographical area intact and in keeping with areas that share common interests. And it was said in this meeting that it was a legal map. And in addition, unincorporated area of Fairview needs more representation and not less. And if you have to take Pleasant out, that leaves 1 supervisor and splits the city. And the split in unincorporated Pleasanton would bring that into the split. Thank you.
Please state your name. You have 2 minutes to speak. You're on the line.
Yeah, hi, my name is Carlos Archuleta, and I am an unincorporated resident. And one of the things that I wanted to say is the unincorporated area is one of the highest areas of poverty, right? And we need to represent reps because no one will vote for us and we can't get anything moving forward for us. And when it comes to the unincorporated area, we don't even have basic things like a sidewalk, and that's the real issue. If you're going to have to cut pieces of the pie off, then don't make us take the low end of the stick because we always get the low end of the stick. I think if you'll see, there's a lot of areas in the Tri-Valley area that weren't riddled with poverty. But if you look at the unincorporated area in the Oakland area, once again, who always has to take the short end of the stick? And so that's really the point I want to make is just, hey, when it comes to the unincorporated area, more on policy wise, we won't get no reps voting for us. We'll only get 1 person every single time. And the rest of the board will ignore us. The rest of the board will refuse to have even meetings to talk about something. It will be impossible for the unincorporated area to get any help unless we get 2 reps. The board members know that more than anything. So that's why we're pleading with you as the unincorporated area. Please make sure we have 2 reps. No matter how you cut this up, we have to have 2 reps. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
Please state your name. You're on the line.
Good evening, supervisors. My name is Kareli Ordaz, and I'm the Chief of Staff at the Unity Council First, on behalf of the Resilient Fruitvale Collaborative, a coalition of 17 organizations collectively serving over 170,000 individuals in Oakland, we want to express our desire to have the top boundary of District 3 in Map A move up to 580. It currently cuts Fruitvale at East 27th Street and Brookdale, which cuts the neighborhood in half. We believe that moving the line up to the freeway keeps our community whole. Next, on behalf of the Unity Council, I want to draw your attention to the community of interest map we submitted a couple hours ago that wasn't read into the record. So I want to make sure that that's top of your radar. We believe it's crucial to keep the following neighborhoods together because they share many characteristics, challenges, and opportunities. The neighborhoods are Chinatown, San Antonio, Fruitvale, East Oakland, and Deep East Oakland. Key facts about these neighborhoods along the international corridor include household medium income in Fruitvale, it's $52,000, and on International Boulevard is $56,000. Race in Fruitvale is 43% Hispanic, 13% Black, 32% Asian. Along International Boulevard is 39% Hispanic, 23% Black, 23% Asian. And to expand further on Supervisor Valla's comment, Map A with the poverty overlay splits East Oakland and making East Oakland the only high poverty area in the county that's split into 3 districts. We don't believe that makes sense. We believe that all of the communities with the highest poverty rates should stay together. That is in the best interest of the families that we serve. So please reconsider that, take a look again, and assess why East Oakland with the highest poverty rates is split into 3. Thank you.
Please state your name. You're on the line.
Hi, this is Kelly Cousins, and I'm a resident of Pleasanton. And I would like to thank the supervisors for this opportunity to give input on redistricting. I understand that splitting the Pleasanton is a way to use the unincorporated areas of Pleasanton with the city, but I also feel that one representative and advocate for our needs as a part of a city is very important as well. And I believe that Pleasanton should be a part of Livermore and Dublin in the Tri-Valley area because of our similar issues that are we need to address. Thank you.
Please state your name. You're on the line. Alvina, you're on the line. Please state your name. You have 2 minutes to speak. You're on the line.
Hello, my name is Christine Kansa, and I'm a resident of Livermore. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you. I want to strongly urge you to keep Pleasanton, Dublin, and Livermore together in one district. We have so much in common, and we have so many problems that we need to address together. We need a strong supervisor, and I appreciate Supervisor Herbert's comments tonight to express, the fact that he heard the community of interest regarding our Tri-Valley needs and wishes to be kept together. I was very disappointed when the supervisors adopted Map A, pulling all of Pleasanton out and keeping it so much the same as it has been. It made me feel like, what's the point in doing a community of interest if it's going to stay like that? So I appreciate all the supervisors who are making an effort tonight to see what they can do to keep the Tri-Valley together. And it seems that there will be a way. I think the legalities involved don't present a problem in population, certainly not in contiguity. So I strongly urge that the final map will have Pleasanton, Dublin, and Livermore together. Thank you.
You're on the line. Please state your name. Please unmute your mic. Alvina, you're on the line. You're on the line. You have 2 minutes to speak.
Hello. Yeah, this is Chuck Moore. I'm out in the country and we're a little bit slow on the web out here because we're satellite. So kind of bear with me as when you call in, I'm a little bit behind you guys. My name is Chuck. I live on the ranch out in Crow Canyon, and in the Canyonlands, we are very much more aligned with what goes on in the East County. We're on wells, we have septic systems. Most of us have lots of animals on our ranches. And often we don't have cell service in many of our areas. So sharing, having a supervisor that shares the valley is very important to us. As now, when we're in the Canyonlands, we often get two supervisors that will rally behind an issue that we're currently having or have, particularly something like Measure D, where we need some minor revisions to it. And I think it's important. I do support small changes. I think A is a nice fit for what we want to do. And so I would support A and ask you that you support A going forward. Thank you very much for the time.
Please state your name. You're on the line.
Hello, my name is Helen Machuga. I am a 40-year resident of Livermore, and I would like to almost say ditto to two of the previous speakers. Thank you for letting me share my opinion. Livermore and Pleasanton and Dublin share a lot, not only contiguity, but we share newspapers, we share our transportation concerns, we share our bus system, we share our fire department. I found recently that students in Sunol do not have their own high school. They go to Pleasanton for high school. Keeping the Tri-Valley together is really important. We're very close to each other. I can see Pleasanton from my upstairs. We're surrounded by mountains. Or by hills. We have a lot of the same problems. We're in common. We are not an urban area, and we don't share the same problems. So I would really appreciate it if something could be worked out to represent the unincorporated areas adequately, but also to keep the Tri-Valley together. Thank you.
Please state your name. You have 2 minutes to speak.
Hi, my name's Kelly Abreu. Supervisor Miley nearly keeled over when he just heard someone say that some part of Fairview out there right now is not in his district. He thought he had the whole thing. I think he's right. The Fairview is all his. We're hearing doublespeak like in Vietnam when they said we had to destroy the village in order to save it. Some people have equated unifying our communities with balkanizing your board. But the Fair Maps Act requires that communities of interest must be kept united. The law doesn't say anything about balkanizing the board. Shaping districts by socioeconomic status and poverty, that's no justification for Map A. Map A spreads out poverty across 4 districts. It's the maximal spread of poverty map plan. Splitting up these communities doesn't address deep-seated poverty. Map A is legally indefensible since the Tri-Cities and Tri-Valley should be kept together, not kept separate and apart from the rest of the county. The method of zebra stripes could split up the unincorporated Eden area into 3 supervisorial districts, not just 2, which is what some people want. Tri-Cities now have 360,000 people. The Tri-Valley has grown to 250,000 people. Dublin grew by 55% over the last 10 years. There's no substantial legal evidence to support cutting Pleasanton out of the Tri-Valley. The Sikh Punjabi community here in Fremont wants to be kept together, as you just heard. We are all Alameda County, all part of the same family. Let's stop this doublespeak. Let's minimize these divisions, not split up communities. And we can start by keeping Pleasanton in the Tri-Valley, all of Pleasanton. Thank you.
Please state your name. You're on the line.
Good evening. This is Michael Koziak from unincorporated Castro Valley. I'm speaking in my personal capacity, not on behalf of any boards I may be a part of. I just want to say I appreciate the comments made by other unincorporated residents. I'm going to disagree with the idea that we need to have more than one supervisor because I see that as the wrong policy solution for a more fundamental policy call to action. We actually need to be a board of supervisors that embraces policies that support our municipal self-determination. And one of the ways you do that is you help create communities where we can actually run someone to be on the board of supervisors. When you include all the unincorporated areas together, you actually could do that. We share common governments hard. We share common political organizations. And it's really, I see, kind of unfair that we're not acknowledging the population growth in South and Eastern Alameda County. Oftentimes, in my experiences, we've seen that supervisors play off of each other for continued policy paralysis. So I would see it actually empowering our communities of interest, those of the urban unincorporated area of 140,000 people, by actually having us in the same area. But at the same time, I think it's, again, the larger policy issue at hand that we need to look at. And I'd also encourage this board to consider, look at no further than the County Board of Education that has 7 members. Maybe it's time for us to have a conversation about expanding the Board of Supervisors to 7 members so that it's easier for us to accommodate the population growth, the size of the county, and the distinct communities and geographic distributions of our communities. I want to thank everyone for this process and the comments, and I appreciate you taking the time to hear me out. Have a good evening.
Please state your name. You're on the line.
Hello, my name is Judith Radowsky. I live in the unincorporated area of Ashland, the little red or orange area on the map. I'm not sure that the status quo is the right thing. I look at the poverty around me. I look at the littering and all the dumping getting off the 164th exit from the freeway. And I don't know having 2 supervisors has done us any good. Neither supervisor has offices in the unincorporated area. Cities dominate. People put offices in Pleasanton or Oakland, San Leandro. You say supervisors represent us and it's better to have 2, but I sometimes feel I have no voice. I'm hoping that by joining into one unincorporated area, that person could actually come and know the area, have an office in the area again, spend time in the area, and bring to the other supervisors the information about what needs to be done in these unincorporated areas, because vaccination issues, poverty issues are there as strong as they are in Oakland, if not just as strong, and are needy. And the status quo doesn't seem to be solving these problems. We appreciate our max, we appreciate our zoning board, I appreciate everything they and Woman Chan have done for us to give us some representation. But the status quo needs to be shook up a bit because we don't have that representation. Michael was right. Possibly a new structure, possibly another way to give more services to this area, more representation. But let us be unified and have one voice to go to. And please don't break up school districts. Looking at the current map A, it breaks up the Cherryland School District. Those people are in Hayward. People in Ashland are split. They're in 2 different school districts. And the way the line is drawn, it splits up school districts. That's probably the one thing people keep in common. Sport districts, school districts. Please consider keeping one district and going with map B, C, or D. Thank you.
Please state your name. You're on the line.
Yes, thank you. My name is Beth Ogilvy, and I'm a 30-year resident of unincorporated Castro Valley. I agree with Deborah Yeager and Michael Koziak. Supervisors, I'm dismayed that you have chosen to ignore the COIs many people identified. First, to keep Pleasanton with the Tri-Valley area, and second, to keep the Eden unincorporated areas together with Hayward. For the Eden unincorporated areas, I don't buy the argument that having multiple supervisors is an advantage. Perhaps for Oakland, it's an advantage because Oakland is so big and they can get the attention of multiple supervisors. For our little unincorporated area, spreading us across multiple districts just dilutes our influence. If we were in one district, my understanding is we'd make up over 40% of the district, and that would give us a lot of clout. Map B was a visualization that kept these COIs together. AB 849 says, to the extent practicable, the geographic integrity of any local neighborhood or local community of interest shall be respected in a manner that minimizes its division. Map A, which you selected, does not do that. Map B does. Please keep the Eden unincorporated areas together in one supervisor district with Hayward. Map B. Thank you.
Please state your name. You're on the line.
Good evening. This is Jean King, and I live in Livermore. And I want to endorse and support the things that the other residents of the Tri-Valley have said. Please keep the Tri-Valley all together in one supervisor district. I think that our supervisors, when we've had two, I had nothing against either one of them, Mr. Miley or Mr. Haggerty or Mr. Halbert. They have both done good. But I believe the people who say that having multiple supervisors dilutes their influence is very true. I think if we have a supervisor that takes together our whole area, they will be more focused on our area, and it will be better than being diluted into two districts where both supervisors will maybe just think of us as being more of an annex. And I agree that we are very similar, the same police, the same fire departments, the same transportation system. We have a lot of the same problems and concerns and conditions. So I highly wish and hope that you will draw the new maps and put all of the Tri-Valley cities together. Thank you very much.
Please state your name. You're on the line.
Buenas noches. Thank you for listening to us, Board of Supervisors for the Alameda County. My name is Julio Contreras. I was born and raised in Hayward and also have a lot of family and friends that live in the unincorporated areas of Cherryland and Ashland. And I'm also very familiar with the area. So I would just really like to second the points put forth by Sandra Macias and by others. Growing up in the poverty that is the unincorporated area, and also just experiencing it firsthand, and also my family, I think it's very important for those voices to come out, and just seeing firsthand what leadership and what support we were able to get by having two supervisors. I can speak from firsthand experience as a leader and an organizer for the unincorporated area, that it was beneficial to have two supervisors there to support us. I think it's important to look at history and to see why there was a lack of support in the past. And so that's something that I definitely recommend folks look into as far as redlining and as far as how these communities, which are our communities of really, BIPOC communities and disenfranchised communities have suffered. And that's why it's important to look at that and to understand that and to really hear kind of where we're coming from. So I hope that that's able to be considered. And as far as that being an integral part of Map A, that's why I propose and I would appreciate if y'all would consider Map A. Thank you.
Please state your name. You're on the line.
Hello, supervisors. My name is Eva Poon, and my family lives in District 3 on the District 3 side of Ashland. This is an important distinction. Ashland, having had two supervisors, has meant there were two supervisors to fight for our community. My neighbors that are also in Ashland in District 4 were able to go to the other supervisor to raise crucial issues. I went to my supervisor, formerly the Honorable Supervisor Chan, whose loss my family is still reeling from. I went to her office quite frequently, as they know. I will say that her office was and is in San Lorenzo, by the way. I support map option A because it ensures the best representation for the urban unincorporated area. Combining representation for the entire Eden area into one district would mean the loss of a voice for communities that have already been under-resourced. It's simply not feasible for one supervisor to govern and meet the needs of the 100,000 plus residents of the Eden area. For our area, the supervisors are essentially our mayor and our county supervisors. Cities have the benefit of entire city governments and councils to represent them. We've had 2 voices on our behalf, and you're trying to take away one of them. We've already had extremely high COVID rates and some of the lowest vaccination rates in the county. We don't need less attention to this area. Another consequence of only having one supervisor for the whole unincorporated Eden area is that the needs of the loudest, most affluent unincorporated area residents are going to get elevated above those of less resource communities, such as mine, Cherryland, Hayward Acres, and San Lorenzo. We need to increase resources and representation for the Eden area, not dilute it. Please continue to support map option A. Thank you.
Please state your name. You're on the line.
Hi, this is Frank Mellon. I'm a resident of Castro Valley. I also have other tasks, but I want to say, first of all, this is about map A and the tweaking that you need to do. The representation that there's no supervisors in the unincorporated area is just not accurate. Supervisor Miley has an office. Supervisor Chan established an office. I'm assuming Supervisor Brown will take that on. Map A does accomplish what you need to accomplish. Make sure your population numbers are good, but the community of interests that we have are so well served by having the 2 supervisors. I can't help but think that anything which put only one supervisor over the unincorporated areas would be the same thing as disenfranchising us. So please stay with Plan A, Map A, and do the tweaking you need to do for the population balancing, but keep it as intact as you can. I want to thank you guys for the work you're doing. It's tough. Believe me, I know it's tough. And stay the course and accomplish what you are working on. Have a good evening. Have a good Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Please state your name. You're on the line. Caller, you're on the line. Please state your name. You're on the line.
Hello, supervisors. This is Rick Hatcher, resident lifelong in the unincorporated area, also a business owner in the unincorporated area. Appreciate your words tonight, and also looking forward to your words later on. And it is an interesting conversation with 3 supervisors in Oakland and all the issues in Oakland, 1 supervisor in Hayward with all the issues in Hayward, and our 2 supervisors. We have key critical issues that are being brought up here really well from our community, but I just want to talk about, as a lot of us know, we spent a lot of time really recognizing who we are in the unincorporated area. I've watched for 20 years Supervisor Chan and her predecessor, as well as Supervisor Miley, work on the identity of who we are in the unincorporated area. And representation, I mean, there are 5, and to have those 2 voices is critical to moving forward. We've had problems and we've not been represented, but there are leaders now in this community. There are organizations, nonprofits, agencies that are listening to the unincorporated area more than ever before. And I agree with Map A in its entirety. I do understand the carve-out idea with Pleasanton. It does make sense, but I understand also the ramifications of what it does to the other area and possibly Hayward. But having that key representation, as many have spoke before, we need it intact. We need it in full. I'm not sure if even ideas are brought up to have a 3rd. I'd love to have Supervisor Valle in the unincorporated area, but I think that's a little bigger than the entirety of what we have in front of us now. It's a big decision you're making. We do it only every 10 years, but the community is very clear, at least from what I see and who I talk to, is that we need the representation. We demand it at this point. and appreciate your time and your future conversations.
Please state your name. You're on the line.
Sally Philbin. I live in the unincorporated area of Fairview, and I'm speaking tonight as an individual. I'd like to second the comments of Tyler Dragoni and Eva Poon in terms of the importance of the representation for the unincorporated area. And then I want to ask a question, and why is it that it's okay to split up Fremont, to split up Hayward, to split up Union City in order to allow one city in the Tri-Valley to be moved? I don't think that moving Pleasanton is the greater good for Alameda County as a whole. I think that if Pleasanton were to take a step back, they would recognize that they are advantaged by having also more than one supervisory voice for their concerns in the Tri-Valley. Thank you all so very much for listening. Thank you for your hard work. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Please state your name. You're on the line. Please unmute your mic, Randy.
I'm sorry. This is Randy Waggy. I'm a longtime resident of San Lorenzo. Thank goodness we had Supervisor Chan representing us. I think it's important to have two supervisors. Lots of times Supervisor Miley and Supervisor Chan would be in meetings and, they would talk the issues out and disagree, agree. So, we really need that representation. The supervisors, the board is our city council. We don't have, a city council. So I just strongly favor map A. Again, Supervisor Chan did so much for San Lorenzo, and yes, she had a district office in San Lorenzo. Her staff, thank goodness, Dave Brown is continuing her legacy. I really appreciate that. So I just implore you guys to please keep two supervisors and incorporate it. That's really important. Thank goodness we had, Supervisor Chan. Anyway, thank you. Have a good night. Happy holidays. Happy Thanksgiving.
Please state your name. You're on the line. Julie, please unmute your mic.
Hello, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great, thank you. Good evening, supervisors. Thank you for listening. My name is Julie Roach, and I'm a resident of Hayward and a Hayward Planning Commissioner, but my comments this evening are my own. I've been mostly an observer of the process up until now because I was also learning, but I was compelled to talk because I was surprised by the whole process kind of went sideways at the last meeting. The beginning of that meeting was full of a good presentation on COIS, discussion on the different maps, and good momentum building to follow the FAIR Maps Act, and what appeared to be an earnest learning process by the supervisors to get to a fair map. But in that one meeting, with one set of one-sided public comments, it appeared to me the supervisors were willing to ditch all previous public comments, all previous meeting discussion, and not even pretend to entertain something different, by at a minimum offering up two draft maps to consider. You so easily agreed to go with the old boundaries. In my opinion, you're letting the current map stand as something solid, as if it's a starting point, but that's not what this was supposed to be. Also, I'm not sure you've made the case for why two supervisors are in the incorporated and 3 in Oakland is a good idea, other than some historical quotes and public comment. I'd like to hear some legal or best practice arguments from the consultants or the experts or the county attorney on why this is a good idea. Maybe we will get to the same outcome, but so far I haven't heard that argument. Finally, I would like to say that having critique of the redistricting process and seeking new maps in no way critiques current representation. The two don't run together. My supervisor is Richard Valle, and I feel very well represented. But this is a once in 10-year process. We have to get to our fair process. Thank you for listening.
Please state your name. You're on the line.
Hello, can folks hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Kenneth Tang. I'm a community organizer with Asian Pacific Environmental Network. We organize Oakland Chinatown residents across Oakland, and I would want to share. I'm in representation of APAN. I'm in support of Map A. Additionally, I do want to add it's critical and really important to include Chinatown, East Lake to continue to be part of District 3. On the other hand, I'm also a resident of Pleasanton, and I'm support how Map A is being drafted. I disagree with what other folks shared around like the importance to include Tri-Valley altogether, but that's just my opinion. Thank you very much.
You're on the line. Please state your name.
Hi, my name is Dale Silva. I live in Fairview. We're hearing a lot of what we heard last time, and it seems to me the consensus last time was this next meeting, let's start with Map A and tweak it. It accomplishes having 3 supervisors for Oakland. It provides 2 supervisors for the urban unincorporated area. So it seems like you're almost there. You just have to decide what to do with Pleasanton. That seems to be the one remaining roadblock to finding a solution here. So it seems like when the meeting started off tonight that you were Supervisors Halbert and Miley were going to zero in on that, focus on that right off the bat, what to do, what would look like Pleasanton got moved. And I would encourage you to get back to that. I think that's the one remaining problem. So I do support Map A. I do want to, in terms of moving Pleasanton, it on paper and ostensibly it looks good to have all the Tri-Valley communities in one supervisorial district. But the way it is now, when the Tri-Valley wants something, you've got 2 champions. You can call on Supervisor Halbert, you can call on Supervisor Miley, and you can be assured that they will do your bidding, quote unquote, at the Board of Supervisors because they both represent the community. It's the same with the poverty area, the poverty overlay. You put it all in one district, you will be calling on one supervisor. If it's in 4 districts, you've got 4 champions to advocate for you. So getting back to the initial thought, I support Map A, and I would encourage you to focus on what to do with Pleasanton, and I think you'll be done. Thank you.
Please state your name. You're on the line.
Hi, my name is Peter Rosen, and I am a long-time, more than 50-year resident of the unincorporated area of Castro Valley, and I am speaking on my own behalf, not as an elected representative from what would be 3 of these supervisorial districts. I wanted to speak to the fact and echo some of the earlier comments that were here about the fact, and just like I did in the 2 previous meetings, I want to emphasize the fact about how important it is as an urban unincorporated resident to have at least 2 supervisors. In fact, I actually agree with Mr. Hatcher that we should, ideally, it would be great to have 3. Much like Mr. Silva just said, the last meeting we talked about moving, or you had talked about moving, exploring moving Pleasanton out of the Tri-Valley and or into the Tri-Valley as whole, and keeping the unincorporated area with at least 2 supervisors. The reasons being, it's very similar to the issue with Oakland when it was discussed about Oakland needing the resources and the attention from 3 supervisors. Well, we have similar issues in the urban unincorporated area. We have some of the lowest poverty rates, some of the highest poverty rates, some health and wellness issues. We don't have the benefit of municipal governance that come with city staff, with city council, and with mayor. It's all of you supervisors. So that's what we have to be city council, city staff, and mayor. So it's very critical. I've had direct interactions with Supervisor Chan's office, and I hope to have some with Supervisor Brown in the future. I have had direct relationships with Supervisor Miley's office, and those are critical to us. To be able to have multiple people to go to and have multiple advocates is a critical need that we have. And I urge you to keep this intact, whichever map, even if you go to map C. Ideally, we need to have, if you explore taking map C and actually splitting the unincorporated urban area, that may be a solution to part of this. But I thank you for your time, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Please state your name. You're on the line.
Good evening, President Carson and supervisors. This is Nick Pilch. I support Igor Tregov's and other members of the public's comments about process. Julie Roach also made some great comments. Compared to all the other redistricting processes I've been following, the meetings started too late and there's not nearly enough of them. And I have doubts that all public input is being taken into consideration. In fact, it can't be with this all too quick process. Let me discuss a number of concerns that have come up for me. At the beginning, it was stated that this was supposed to be a meeting about District 4. I didn't see that in the agenda and I don't understand the purpose of that. Can the supervisors please explain? I have not heard the supervisors discuss or look at in public the community maps submitted. By law, you must minimize the division of cities and census designated places, but yet the supervisors seem to want to keep Oakland in 3 districts, and despite public comment to the contrary as well. Could we please see the residences of each supervisor superimposed over the map? And could we please see the demographic data of each district and have a discussion of it? So far, there's been absolutely no discussion of this to my knowledge. I don't understand Supervisor Valle's point with regard to poverty and COIs. I wonder if anyone in the public or the other supervisors understand it as well and can explain it. It seems that most of the poverty is in the northern western part of the county and not evenly spread in my observation. I appreciate Supervisors Miley and Halbert making a good effort to address community input, in particular that Pleasanton be kept with the Tri-Valley. The biggest elephant in the room is District 4, which stretches from North Oakland all the way into Pleasanton. I don't think that anyone thinks a district like this makes any sense and seems to be the result of gerrymandering and or keeping district boundaries such that each supervisor draws a district around where they currently live and so that they don't have to. I urge you to continue with live map drawing and explore as many different options as you can before you complete this process. By proceeding with the current maps with minimal changes to take into account population and communities of interest, you're proceeding with gerrymandered maps. Thank you.
Please state your name. You're on the line.
Hi, my name is April Chan. I'm from Fairview and I'm on the Fairview MAC. I just am calling in to thank you so much for your work and ask you to continue to support MAP A. Please continue to support 2 supervisors for the unincorporated area and 3 supervisors for Oakland. Stay the course. I really appreciated Supervisor Valle's comments about the poverty COI, and I really admire that the Board of Supervisors takes this issue seriously. Again, I'm just calling to ask you to continue to back MAP A, stay the course. It was a great decision. There's not much time. And I think that only small changes need to be made to MAP A. And relative to MAP B, C, and D, as a person from the unincorporated area, I don't feel that we should be in the same community of interest.
Please state your name. You're on the line.
Hi, my name is Marla Kirby. I live in Livermore. I want to thank the supervisors for letting me speak tonight. I want to urge you to continue to look at adding all of Pleasanton into District 1. I have served on the Livermore Human Services Commission, although I'm speaking personally. And what I learned being on that commission is that the cities of the Tri-Valley share and coordinate human services resources among themselves. Being in one district would enhance the ability to focus county resources for the Tri-Valley and to advocate on behalf of the shared interests of the 3 cities. I was surprised, and most residents of the Tri-Valley are similarly surprised that Pleasanton is not in the same district as Dublin and Livermore in Alameda County. The 3 cities and residents work and live together jointly and should be in one district. Thank you so much.
Please state your name. You're on the line.
Hello, my name's Dr. Ann Maris. I'm a biochemist and an educator. I live in urban, unincorporated Alameda County, Castro Valley, to be exact. I'm calling in support of MAP A. I think we it seems like there's a big propaganda campaign going on saying that somehow it's better to be lumped into one supervisor's district. And I can't see any logic of that. And I haven't heard an answer to that. How is it of any benefit to have only one vote on a board of 5? I don't get that. But if cities like Pleasanton, Livermore, and Dublin want to be dumped together and they think that's better, more power to them, but don't speak for unincorporated Alameda County residents. If we look at the definition of a community of interest, it's a population, that's people that share a common social or economic interest. And then it goes on to say that should be included within a single supervisory district for the purposes of the people's effective and fair representation. So a COI doesn't need to be dumped together with all the other COIs. Just an individual COI should be within a supervisorial district that effectively represents it with a fair representation. You've heard lots of reasons why unincorporated residents want more than one supervisor. It's really pretty obvious that there's 5 supervisors on the board. And if we have more people with more at stake in unincorporated issues, we're doing better. It would split up the money more, the funding. It would create more public transparency of process because more people are involved. It would allow more supervisorial leadership for the county staff. Is that the end? I don't know, I heard a beep. Anyway, higher standard of expectation of care for constituents. And I don't know what else. And I've been real happy with the process. The county's been available. The website's easy to use. I've had no problem, and I'm not a big money person. I'm a low income person living in unincorporated county. And I've had all the attention of county staff and the consultants that I needed. So thank you. And please continue with map A. If we would have had any other option, maybe we would have taken it, but we weren't given any other option than map A to have more representation. Thank you.
You're on the line. You have 2 minutes to speak, Chris.
Yeah, hi, my name is Chris Higgins. I'm a 30-year resident of the Fairview unincorporated community. I'm speaking as a resident of Fairview, not in any role of any board or commission that I'm also a member of. And I prefer District A for the simple reason that, or the map A, I'm sorry, for the simple reason that we have two, it breaks us into 2 supervisorial districts. The supervisors, each supervisor has the same staff budget, but counties don't do a good job of providing municipal services. They're not geared to provide municipal services. And supporting residents of unincorporated areas takes a lot of staff time. It takes a lot more staff time than supporting the needs of residents of incorporated areas. They have an entire municipal government to support them, and our support comes from the budgets of the supervisors that represent us. Another thing I really like that's kind of turned into something interesting is as a member of District 4, a resident of District 4, our neighbors in the eastern part of the district, in the valley, are a lot more conservative than those in the western part of the district. And I think it has a moderating effect on the entire district. And as a political moderate, I find that kind of appealing. And other people might not agree with me on that. I think it's a good thing. With that, I'm out.
Please state your name. You're on the line. Rosemary, you're on the line.
Yeah, okay. I just was able to unmute now. Yes, this is Rosemary Thorne. I'm a Livermore resident. When I saw the draft map, I was really surprised that it looked almost like the existing division of districts and still kept Pleasanton separated from the Tri-Valley. I strongly disagree that map A is the best, at least in its current form. All of Pleasanton should be in the Tri-Valley. The other maps, B, C, and D, do this, and also accommodated for the majority of public comments that had come in up until last week's meeting, because earlier, the majority of comments from the unincorporated area were strongly wanting to all be included in one district and have one supervisor to represent them. And then all of a sudden last meeting, it was a total 180. And then all of a sudden now they don't want that. They want at least two supervisors to represent them. So as I say, up until last meeting, when they wanted to be in one district, the representations in B, C, and D accomplished that. Now everybody's wanting map A because they've changed their mind and now want, to have more supervisors. But map A is not good for the Tri-Valley. I think there can be I think my time's up, but I think it can be accomplished to provide for everybody by modifying map A and just changing how much of the Fremont area we would have. My personal preference was map B because it also left the Tri-Cities together in one district, as well as leaving the Tri-Valley together. But you'd need to tweak it so that the unincorporated areas would be happy with how they're shown on the map now.
Please state your name. You're on the line.
Good evening. This is Charles Pisano of San Lorenzo. I just wanted to share, I've heard a lot more intelligent, experienced, educated voices than myself tonight speaking on this issue on both sides, or on many, many sides. Personally, in my 20 plus years of living in San Lorenzo, I've seen changes begin to occur. Having gotten politically active in the last 5 or 6 years, particularly in Ashland, I know it's frustrating, as the one caller said, to see the trash all over 164th. Some of us, like Tyler Dragoni and Eva Poon, have gotten out there and physically cleaned it up. The supervisors aren't out there doing it by hand, but Supervisor Miley and Supervisor Chan were very active in supporting our efforts. Little organizations like the Ashland Community Association, My Eden Voice, and we are trying to bring the unincorporated Eden area up to be more of a productive member of the community. We need the two supervisors to make that happen. It defies logic. I don't have a doctorate. I don't need a doctorate to figure out two is better than one. I appreciate the other point of view. I guess you could say, well, gee, I've got this one individual, but if they're not doing it, you're out of luck. Thank you.
Please state your name. You're on the line.
Good
Iris?
evening. Oh, good evening. Thank you, President Carson and members of the Board of Supervisors. My name is Iris Marians, and I'm calling in to represent the Neighborhood Council of Sobrani Park, Columbia Gardens, and Brookfield, in addition to the Elmhurst District Board. And we met last night to discuss the visualization of the different maps. And our communities are drawn together by our concerns for Oakland. Although we do have a city, they have a different task. The county is our health arm and our social service arm. And with the poverty overlay, it makes it very clear that we do need the 3 supervisors, and we strongly support MAP A. It splits the workload amongst 3 supervisors, and we appreciate if you continue in that direction. Thank you.
Please state your name. You're on the line.
Hi, good evening. This is Council Member Lisa Marquez, and I wanted to read in a letter that was submitted by Mayor Barbara Holliday. On behalf of the Hayward City Council, I'm writing this letter to express the views of our council on the upcoming hearing regarding redistricting and approval of the new county supervisorial maps. Before I discuss that matter, I want to first express my deepest condolences on behalf of the council on the tragic death of Supervisor Wilma Chan. Her legacy and work in Alameda County will be remembered fondly, and our thoughts are with the Alameda County family and her family during this difficult time. On Tuesday, November 16th, the Hayward City Council adjourned our meeting in her honor and memory. At the same council meeting, we discussed the 4 supervisorial map visualizations that have been circulated and discussed at recent board workshops. We understood that the board took action that evening to support Visualization A and to prepare that as a preferred map for the adoption at the upcoming hearings in December. Our city council was divided in its discussion regarding which map to support. While the council disagreed on which map to support, there was agreement along the lines of resources in the county need to reach evenly through the city of Hayward, which some members felt strongly that Hayward should remain entirely in one supervisorial district, as in the case with MAP A. Others felt that the city could benefit from having a part of the city represented by a second supervisor, as would be the result of MAP D being chosen. Still, others are concerned about the balanced representation throughout the county. Hayward is the 3rd largest city in Alameda County. We have one of the most diverse populations in the United States. We have some of the lowest income census tracts in Alameda County. We maintain South County's only safety net hospital, St. Rose, and we have had some of the hardest hit zip codes during COVID-19 pandemic. For us, redistricting debate is really about equity in the distribution of county services. I strongly encourage the supervisors to please reconsider bringing MAP 8 forward. Thank you.
Please state your name. You're on the line.
Hello, my name is Gladys Valadez. I am a resident of unincorporated Cherryland. I am asking to see the urban unincorporated area into 2 supervisorial districts and Oakland into 3. That was a mission from the last meeting, and I would like it addressed further while live mapping today. The option I support as of now is MAP A. It is a map that makes the most effort in regards to giving the urban unincorporated area enough representation in order to feel represented and supported while facing the many inequities we do. I look forward to seeing how we may continue to give Oakland 3 supervisors and the unincorporated area with 2 supervisors, and I agree with Del Silva. We are close to a solution and a remaining factor being accommodating to Pleasanton. That is all. Thank you, and thank you for the process.
Please state your name. You're on the line.
My name is Andrew Turnbull, and during my 22 years living in Sunol, we've had the pleasure of excellent elected supervisors and excellent staff support. For more than the 1/3 of my lifetime as a resident of Sunol, we've been represented in different ways by Scott Haggerty, then Supervisor Valier, and now we have David Halbert representing most of our geography. Nate Miley's son, Chris, has provided outstanding service to me and my family when we needed it. In addition to Chris, both District 1 and 2 have strong staff members that provide excellent service. Nevertheless, as we learned with the tragic sudden loss of Wilma Chan, this 10-year process cannot and should not be about the incumbents. Helen Machuga is absolutely right that the students who live in Sunol, when they graduate from Sunol's little K through 8, there's an agreement with Pleasanton Unified School District that our kids go to high school in Pleasanton. Thank you to the elected officials who've enthusiastically supported Sunol over the years. I know that 2 of us in Sunol's 922 residents submitted a COI, and both of us spoke here for our COIs. This process will last 10 years and may very well outlast some of the incumbents and current staff tenure in the office. Therefore, I hope you will keep all of Sunol with Livermore, Pleasanton, and Dublin, because that is our community of interest. Thank you for your respect and attention.
Please state your name. You're on the line.
Hi, yes, my name is Mike Barada. I'm a resident of Cherryland, and I strongly urge keeping map A for the simple reason of representation. Some people have trouble understanding the balancing of the districts as far as population goes, and to keep population representation equal at the supervisors level. Sometimes it does require stretching boundaries, but to adequately represent unincorporated area who have no city council to represent them is vital. I think people who live in cities don't understand the struggle and the issues that unincorporated residents face when they have no city council, they have no mayor, they have no structure other than the supervisors, and they are stretched thin with their other responsibilities as well as the unincorporated needs. I think it's wise of the supervisors to stick with map A, and give people proper representation. It's taken for granted by many who are well represented and well served. It's a difficult task in an area that has no other source of representation other than their supervisors, and many needs. There are many needs in our areas.
This is an underserved area.
The whole resentment over Oakland having 3, I think, again, has to do with population balance, needs balance, and serving the people who live there. Thank you.
Please state your name. You have 2 minutes to speak.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hi, my name is Paul Smith, 29-year resident of Castro Valley. I'm also a proponent of map A. Like many of the previous speakers, I believe we need 2 champions, 2 supervisors to represent the various areas, Eden, Cherryland, Ashland, Castro Valley, etc. Let's see. I appreciate, this endeavor that you're doing to try to come up with the best map. I realize there are still some issues with map A, but I'm hoping you guys will work it out. I appreciate being able to have input, and please stay the course with map A. Happy Thanksgiving and holidays. Thanks again.
Please state your name. You have 2 minutes to speak.
Thank you and good evening. My name is Sarah Lamnin, and I'm speaking tonight on behalf of the Alameda County Coalition for Fair Redistricting. First of all, we want to thank you for the outreach. I know some of the supervisors have been reaching out to members of our coalition. There are more than 40 organizations engaged in this effort, and we started this last year and really have been working to make sure that community voices are part of this conversation. And so in that, we urge you to remember that the recognition of COIs and the adoption of the map is not just about legal jeopardy. Will the map hold up in court, but really the spirit of the law, as some of the folks have said earlier, that hopefully you are considering a map that by design encompasses the most amount of community of interest information. You've gotten some brand new ones this evening, the Black Cultural Zone, the other COIs, and one of them that was updated. Perhaps the way to settle the debate about does having 2 supervisors allow you to have the representation you need from election to service implementation is to look at the boundaries for the max. That, sorry, is not really a coalition effort. It's just a recognition that there are community structures and that individual voices matter, community voices matter, coalition voices matter. And that, and lastly, speaking not as a member of the coalition, but simply as a member of the county, that somebody's earlier comment about being one county is really valid. It shouldn't be a matter of having to fight for services in the unincorporated. I absolutely acknowledge that that's happened, but there is extra money. The money that would go to cities goes to the county to provide the kind of governance needed. And that shouldn't have to be a popular vote. It should just be what the county does. Thank you.
Please state your name. You're on the line.
Hi, my name is Kyoko Takayama, and I also want to talk about the process. County supervisors has voted for visualization A, and now it is a draft map A. This conversation should be how to incorporate COI. Tribal COI can be preserved by simply adding Pleasanton back to the tribal and moving the Fremont population back to their own city. It doesn't change anything unincorporated area of Eden. So that is what I would like to see if majority of the Eden area people prefers to be divided into two separate districts. However, the representation matters. Yes, it totally does. And I have been living in Livermore city areas. So I know when we need sidewalk fixed, we go to the city. However, we pay most of the cost. So it's not like city can provide everything we need. Yes, we do have some protection. We do have our own, but what it really matters is how democracy works. Democracy works when voters choose their elected officials. And then if they don't work for you, we should be able to replace them, hold them accountable at the poll. The question is that working in Alameda County supervisor elections and representation? If things is not working as it is, why do you want to keep the same way? That is a question you should all answer. Thank you very much.
Please state your name. You're on the line.
Hello, my name is Luana Ledward, and I'm an 11-year resident of Cherryland in Urban Unincorporated. I would like to raise my voice for map A also, and to keep us with 2 and not bring us down to 1 supervisor. That wouldn't work. And I just wanted to speak that up tonight. Thank you.
Please state your name. You have 2 minutes to speak.
Hi, good evening. My name is Michael Freed. I'm speaking for myself. I'm a resident of Cherryland and also would like to just some pondering, some notions that out of the woodwork, all of a sudden unincorporated now wants to be split. I don't recall how many people came forward and thought that unincorporated wanted to stay together as a given. It seems to me that that was some months ago, kind of an assumption without really anybody talking to some of us who live in the unincorporated area. So just as a matter of looking at the whole process, I really appreciate the way this is going forward. I am in support of map A. However, I'm looking at it in terms of the mapping process and realizing that the center of all the maps is the unincorporated area. And I'm just wondering if there wouldn't have been a better initiation of it to plop a 5-pointed compass rose right in the middle of the unincorporated and say, okay, you know, which of each of the 5 districts touch those areas and have that as the center, and then work outwards from that, including the need for probably you know, Oakland needs 3 supervisors or not, but that's 3 supervisors, 3 references. If we take away the 1 extra, we might even call it an extra supervisor for the unincorporated, it really isn't extra. It's the 2, and we probably need 3. So I don't know, it just puts pressure on all of the supervisors to really take it seriously so the unincorporated get adequate representation. And you can look at the COIs in a couple different ways. They could become a very strong voting bloc. If you had everybody together, then when it comes time for elections every 2 to 4 years, then boom, that 1 supervisor's got a big voice. Look at it the other way though, you know, what about the representation for very thinly sliced pieces of money that are not really coming down to the unincorporated who don't have a city, you know, managers, budgets, and staff to support them to begin with. So I'm just going to basically reiterate everything that the people come on earlier tonight, supporting A with some tweaks. And so just don't divide up the unincorporated on the backs of the unincorporated.
Please state your name. You have 2 minutes to speak. Caller, you're on the line. Yeah, please unmute.
Hello?
We can hear you.
Yes, this is Mrs. Cecilia Cunningham. I'm calling on behalf of Amherst District 7. I'm calling to let the board know that I support Map A due to the equal distribution of the population. And also would appreciate it any way possible that we can have 3 county supervisors to represent our district. Because it's 3 districts in Oakland that need representation. And I want to say thank you to the board members, because I know you guys have worked very hard working on this redistricting. It's not easy. And you all continue in God's name. Amen. Thank you.
That was our last speaker.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I want to thank all the speakers.
We just, excuse me, 3 participants just raised their hand.
All righty, let's hear them.
Please state your name. You have 2 minutes to speak.
Thank you. My name is Mimi Dean, and I'm from San Lorenzo, and I'd like to speak in favor of Map A. So there's been a lot of things said tonight that weren't necessarily factual. Like, I really believe that having 2 supervisors is good for everybody, because 2 supervisors means 2 voices advocating for you, 2 purses coming to help you with your financial needs. So I don't understand why places like Pleasanton wouldn't want to have another supervisor. And as far as the offices, I know that Miley has an office in Castro Valley and Brown has one in San Lorenzo. As far as the COIs go, you know, there's like, you could call San Lorenzo a COI, and you could call Dublin a COI, you could call Cherryland a COI. The COIs they're staying together, but they don't necessarily have to stay together in the same district. So I really think COIs are being recognized, so I'm not buying that argument either. And then as far as the argument about voting blocks, that's a really tough one too. We need supervisors that are voting on things for us every week, every month, every year. And if we have 2 supervisors working for us, that's way better than having 1. I really hope that you guys are going to realize that the most marginalized people live in the unincorporated area, in the Eden area. And that when I look at this through my equity lens, I know as a human being that I have to support the most marginalized people, not the people that just want to be together because they want to be together. People need to be together because they need the help. They need the representation. Thank you. Have a great night.
Please state your name. You're on the line.
Hello, my name is Cindy Torres. I'm a lifelong resident of Cherryland. I'd like to start off by saying that the Alameda County Fair redistricting has been a biased outreach of our incorporated area to the point that they've gone so far as to discredit our current supervisors. They're using coys to gerrymander the unincorporated area into their supervisorial district for the political interest of some. It's really interesting that many people that have spoken up tonight and other nights stating that voices need to be heard, they're not being heard. But when we come and speak on the behalf of the community that we live in, the unincorporated area, they want us to shut up. They want us to be quiet because we haven't spoken out earlier. We need more representation, not less. We know what's good for us. We don't need other people speaking for us. The voice of logic has been heard clearly tonight. I support MAP A, and I demand that you listen to us as well. Thank you.
Please state your name. You're on the line.
Good evening. My name is Kelly McCashy. I'm speaking on behalf of myself as a resident from Pleasanton, and I am not speaking on any other roles that I have in the current community. I've been listening tonight, and I would like to thank all the county supervisors for your comments and insights. And I know that the decisions you have at hand are heavy, and you have to accommodate a lot of stakeholders' points of views. I would like to just make a point and state that please keep in mind the criteria that you are being used are considering to make your decisions and how you redistrict. Keep in mind to listen to all stakeholders and all voices and be true to that at your core. The reason why I state that is tonight there's been a lot of discussion about map A versus other maps, and I do find it a little worrisome that you've already excluded some other maps, including some maps that have been proposed by the community. Please engage with these discussions and use that information as you move forward, whether it's incorporated areas or whether you keep Pleasanton in with the Tri-Valley or not. Please use your data appropriately to make the best informed decision, because this will impact for the next 10 years. Thank you very much. Appreciate your endeavor and appreciate your time. Thank you.